Hey everybody, welcome back to another Quamfy Lounge episode. Luke here today again with Ghost.
Yo,
So today we're going to be doing another ecosystem analysis video, and we thought we would touch on two partners that we haven't heard much about and people don't really talk much about, but they are quite pivotal and have quite an interesting part to play, and that is AUCloud and UKCloud. And we will talk about this a bit further on, but they are indeed sister companies. We have an official announcement regarding our involvement with AUCloud, but we actually slid under the radar and were just added as a partner on the website for UKCloud. We didn't get a press release about anything to do with their involvement, which is interesting. But we're going to dive straight in first off with AUCloud, and then we're going to go to UKCloud, and we're just going to summarize again what they do, their connections, their partners, and yeah, cool. Ready to go,
let's
Ghost?
jump into it.
Let's do it.
Let's go for it.
So, 3rd of December 2018, quite a while ago actually, and pivotal thing to mention straight off the bat was AUCloud was actually only launched in 2018, and we partnered, only a few months later. So it seems to me that Gilbert obviously knows someone on team perhaps, but let's move on. Quant Network and AUCloud partner to provide the world's first blockchain operating system for government and critical national industries. They are pleased to announce a formal partnership to apply the world's first blockchain operating system to sovereign cloud computing, creating greater security and functionality for Australian government, defence and critical national industry. This blockchain as a service will overcome the current siloed design of deploying multiple blockchain systems, creating an easy to use and more secure set of national capabilities. Let's listen to what Scott Wilkie, Director of AUCloud, has to say. Stated that the Australian Government, Department of Defence and major industries are using or testing blockchain to interact with their supply chain, critical infrastructure, national record keeping and financial services. So that's actually an important part to pick up on, guys, is the Australian Government, it seems, pretty knee deep in this stuff already.
Oh yeah,
And Scott Wilkie points out here that these organisations require the interoperable function that can only come with an operating system like Overledger and the security of the leading sovereign Australian cloud platform. Without Overledger, none of these projects or systems will be able to communicate with each other or cross-party collaboration. This is
that
actually
sounds like a pretty resounding backing right there.
yeah, this is actually an interesting quote that people have definitely slipped up on, including myself. Gilbert, founder of CEO and Quant Network, additionally noted we have been working with AUCloud for more than a year. So they've been working with them basically since launch, which is pretty interesting, for more than a year, and had best to integrate our blockchain operating system with the AUCloud platform to provide highly secure and interoperable blockchain as a service for Australian government and defence. Right. So this just... this is probably a good thing to go over. Benefit from a multi-chain strategy, reduce implementation time, have choice, flexibility, avoid integration costs, utilize a tried and tested cloud delivery model, comply to security and regulation, and that seems like it's just leveraging off AUCloud's expertise. So, who is AUCloud, I guess, Ghost, is the next thing to go from.
Yeah, it seems like a logical conclusion.
This is for all those people out there like, oh, I want to see what AUCloud have to say. This is the press release on their website about it. This is also a cheeky little article we got about it, which I thought was cool. They'll be joining forces with a major blockchain developer to build the world's first blockchain operating system for government critical national infrastructure.
I just want to emphasize critical national industries.
Mm.
We'll get into later about what level of privacy and security each of these cloud providers have access to. But just so you know, both AUCloud and UKCloud are sovereign cloud providers that are endemic to their host nations. And they have really interesting connections, actually. We're about to touch on that briefly, and then in more depth later as well.
So when Ghost means sovereign cloud provider, in this instance, AUCloud, I think they're actually an exclusive for the Australian government. So the only services they provide for, as Ghost mentioned, national infrastructure and public sector. And that includes government, obviously major government departments, including defence,
health,
as Scott Wilkie said, they're using blockchain and financial infrastructure, and also records and things like that. He mentions here overcomes the lack of secure interoperability between technologies and legacies experienced by government and critical infrastructure. This is all that we just quoted in the same thing we read. Cool. So
they keep emphasizing though as well ISO TC 307 that Gilbert founded.
Yeah.
So that seems to be a key, I guess, I don't know, feather in his cap that he can always come back to. And Gilbert will always have a important role to play in the Australian blockchain financial ecosystem because he founded ISO TC 307.
Yeah, well, I think we'll touch on that. I think I might even touch on that as well because we'll talk about the open banking thing.
Yeah.
But this is also a good article that kind of summarizes what AUCloud get up to, right? Where are we going to read from? Here we go. AUCloud, which focuses exclusively on meeting the needs of the Australian government and critical national infrastructure communities at the protected level.
All caps.
All
protected.
Is a sovereign cloud infrastructure as a service provider exclusively focused on meeting the needs. We just read that. This includes federal, state, and local governments and CNI organizations such as telecommunications, electricity, financial services, and similar utility providers. It is owned, managed, and operated in Australia. All the services they provide and the data they manage remains in Australia always. AUCloud is independently RAAP assessed to the protected level controls of the Australian Signals Directorate Information Security Manual. Basically, to summarize, guys, AUCloud is a national infrastructure cloud service provider for the government, and that includes protecting data and information that is slightly above public information or stuff that just needs to be protected a little bit better.
Yeah.
I think we'll move on to. I'm sure you guys all know what a cloud is. Should we summarize what a cloud is, Ghost?
Yeah, totally. I mean, so basically a cloud is just so you can have one data center such as AWS in Atlanta and one in San Francisco, and you wouldn't know which one you'd be interacting with. Your computer or your device would treat each interaction as one whole, and this is what's commonly known as a cloud. And what we're going to see later is that both AUCloud and UKCloud are experts at managing multiple cloud instances and ameliorating access to these instances with so that on the application level you don't even know you're interacting with one cloud or the other. And this sounds Overledger fits in quite well with this because they do something very similar with their maps in that you won't know what underlying blockchain you're working with. You're just interacting with the map. And so I think Gilbert said one time is that the plan to decentralize Overledger was to first be multi-cloud and then to eventually go multi-blockchain. And so Australia or AUCloud and UKCloud are both perfect partners to facilitate that transition.
Perfect. I thought we'd just go through some of AUCloud's partners. Obviously, we can see Quant. They have a nice little slider, but I think this graphic's probably a little bit better. You probably don't know a lot of them. I'm sure they're all important.
Tons of interesting players. Like we just covered Wicker. We see Cisco pretty featured. We have VMware. One I like to point out is Quintessence Labs, and they're working on secure quantum encryption schemes and in general ways to interact with the quantum computer, which is very, very promising. Like there are lots of initiatives around the world that are that's the next internet that's coming. So and you can also see let's see, I don't know. Yeah, that's all I recognize.
Cool. I thought before we touch on to how AUCloud is built for the national security and kind of built out of this UK government connection, I just want to touch on another document that goes to originally mentioned ISO TC 307, and it's no secret.
That's right.
Gilbert likes to talk about it. He came up with the idea for TC 307 when he was working for the New South Wales, which is an Australian state, health department, and he realized there was a lack between health systems. And then he got interested in blockchain and recognized the same flaws. He then, via Remit, which is now also called Quant. Again, we covered all this in my one of my first videos in the Quamfy Language episode. So if you go back to that. But so basically, alongside Standards Australia, they proposed ISO TC 307. So Gilbert's been no secret to working alongside Australia and pushing forward their blockchain. This is another example I've just pulled up. You'll know if you are a loyal community member that Gilbert mentions Data 61 quite a lot, and you also know that I'm a big fan of Data 61. They are basically the research arm for the Australian government within Australia, and they have been making some big strides in blockchain in Australia via AUSTRAC, IBM, a few other different things. And
you may also remember them from the fact that they laid claim to the invention of Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Ooh, whoa.
I think they sued a large tech company for this and are getting royalties from it.
Wow.
Like for a long time. So yeah, they're what would you say? Like they're like the DARPA of
sort of
Australia.
Yep.
So
they also
a lot of cool stuff coming out of there.
They were also at the hackathon that Quant team did last year in South Australia, alongside IBM. They're the other delivery partner, Data 61.
You know, and despite all that brain power, they still can't find a way to defeat the emus.
Yes, the emus. Yes. But getting back to it, this is the the ACCC document on consumer rights, which is basically privacy protection when it comes to open banking. And now this is a whole other video that we will touch on, but Gilbert worked alongside Data 61 in presenting the open banking document for FinTech Australia. We can see him mentioned here at the top, Quant Network. So again, this
literally
is just
at the top.
Yeah, actually quite literally at the top. That's probably got like zero relevance. But anyway, it's just another example that the team are quite active in Australia. And so now we wanted to touch on the connection to UK government and also the connection with the Australian government. And so the CTO of AUCloud, Brad Bastow, actually left public departments to work at AUCloud. And so we've got up here his LinkedIn. Just make sure you say anything if you want, Ghost, but we're just going to scroll through. He's actually the CEO now, but he started off as the CTO when they launched in May 2018. He was the CTO for the Department of the Prime Minister and Cabinet. He was the Department of Education and Department of Employment. He was also an Assistant Director for Security at Department of Finance and also an analyst for the Department of Defense. If we move over to Phil Dawson, who was the managing director, or who is, the managing director at AUCloud. He's come from AIIA, he's come from another technology company, but these are the links that we wanted to talk about with regards to the UK. He's a member of...
So something to notice, if you could scroll up a little bit. MDS and Assure Digital both share the same logo.
Oh, true.
And if you look at AUCloud, logo there, it's the same logo again. So you can see the fact that at least symbolically, the same structure that Phil Dawson, who founded UKCloud, brought over from UK to Australia, and fairly seamlessly. So that is just something pretty interesting to note. I even think that the UK clouds, they rebranded, and their original logo was probably the same,
true
kind of weaving pattern.
So the important thing to note here is that UKCloud was the established one, and they were called Skyscape Cloud Services. You can see he was the co-founder and CEO and president.
We'll touch on that for sure.
Touch on that, but it's important to note that, remembering this, AUCloud was launched way more recently, and it's basically just a spring off kind of copy of what the UKCloud is doing in the public sector, and they're doing it in Australia.
And as Luke says, like their involvement in the public sector is very deep with all of these members. They shape, as Gilbert liked to says, public policy with regard to many aspects of cyber and digital strategy. And if we go down to Scott's CV, we can see that he's special advisor to Deloitte. He right now is an advisor to a homomorphic encryption company. He chairs the Australian domain governance. He's a founding director of AUCloud, if you go down further. And this is kind of what I'm saying. He's senior policy advisor, national cyber strategy, national digital strategy, agency information assurance and cyber strategy, and committee to develop national cyber growth center. So,
and we can also see he was the international advisor for UKCloud here. So
well, look just below that. GovCloud in Queensland, Australia. So we may have had this like strange little dance where like it started in Australia, really hit it off in UK, and then returned back to Australia. Like
I see it.
There's a lot of gas being used in airplane flights for sure.
So basically, to summarize Scott Wilkie, I think this is a pretty good one. International profile is a successful company director, expert on cybersecurity and critical national digital infrastructure. High demand security policy advisor for government and industry. And so this brings us to a bit of a weird concept between the link between the UK and Australian government. If you don't know, Australia is of course part of the Commonwealth. But we were looking through a cyber security document here, and it actually mentions how protected and top secret information has to go through separate fiber networks. And I think Ghost is going to go on a bit of a spiel here as we tie it into the UKCloud, which is up next.
Yeah, so as we saw previously, AUCloud is enabling protected and protected combinations of or protected types of data. This is a designation of an information exchange that limits a certain kind of person within the government to access it. And as you see up here, like we have the different groups. Like this is just detailing how like even in physical fiber, we have different layers, and it seems that like when you get to the highest layer, even top secret, you literally cannot have top secret data passing through the same coaxial cable. Like the fibers cannot like be together. It's that sensitive, and so it literally has to be its own designated fiber group. And if Luke, if you could like scroll down a little bit. Like a little bit more, keep going. Right here, see? So you have like different color designations, like top secret's supposed to be red, secret's supposed to be pink, protected is blue, and then official is black or gray. And just to let you know, like AUCloud and UKCloud are sovereign clouds dealing with government services. They'll definitely like advertise that they're up to protected, but anything above that, they're not going to be publicly declaring, oh yeah, we deal with secret information at all points. You know, like that's just not something you're going to be. It's not very prudent of you to disclose that in a that kind of manner. And so for all we know, AUCloud and UKCloud could be dealing with that. And I think we see in the future that UKCloud says protected and above, like they deal with potentially secret or top secret information. And so like if I can share the screen.
Sure.
So as you can see here, we have Quant, which is a partner to SIA and their fiber network, and the extension all over across Europe, from UK to America, and then from America to Japan, South Korea, Hong Kong, Singapore, and Sydney, Australia. And so this is just an example of a private company similar to UKCloud, probably more expensive, probably more international, but still a private company owning physical infrastructure that services a public government. And as we talked about in the last video, this is just a really efficient way of doing things. You can have the authority at the top level managed by governments and the funding from there, but you allow these private corporations to have the autonomy and then to act as your vassals, and you're just vastly more competitive and vastly more agile that way. So it's most likely that Colt might also be offering services from, official to protected to secret to top secret. And they're not going to advertise that they're doing secret or top secret because of the nature of the request. And so this is the league of institutions that Quant's involved with. Gilbert is very aware of all this as managing the security for the UK Treasury, and he understands what it takes to run national critical infrastructure at scale, and Quant is the way that he's going to be doing so. And something I wanted to bring up further is this. It's called the 5 Eyes. This is originally secret to the public. It was only disclosed in the 1990s. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because, as we all know, England colonized America and Australia, as well as New Zealand and Canada. And there is a information sharing agreement between these countries that makes it to where they share standards, they communicate with one another, and it's easy for people to drift from one country to another, especially when they're current Commonwealth countries, like England is to the UK, or not UK, sorry, Australia. So when you see that Australia has AUCloud and England has UKCloud, and they're both having the same standard, that most likely is because of this legacy colony dependency of sorts. So yeah, I think that's it. I'm going to hand it back over to Luke.
So as we mentioned earlier, that UKCloud and AUCloud are sister companies. The directors and the board members and the advisors are all intertwined. And as Ghost mentioned, they had great success in the UK and sprouted off the same thing for the public sector in Australia. So we're just going to go through a little bit about UKCloud. They were originally called Skyscape Cloud Services. They support hundreds of digital workloads for organisations such as Genomics England, Ministry of Justice, Capgemini, and the London Business School. So we're just going to flick through. There's actually numerous different divisions and stuff, and we're going to point out their importance and some of their ecosystems, and then do a little bit of a wrap-up. And so as Ghost mentioned earlier, multi-cloud experts. And so we're just going to read this part here. As multi-cloud experts, we provide an easy way to migrate existing systems such as Oracle and VMware into the cloud, giving you the time and space you need to build or buy cloud-native applications using Azure, OpenStack, OpenShift that exploit digital technologies such as artificial intelligence, sensor networks, IoT, and information. Well, UK Cloud.
So let's make this clear. We have Oracle, VMware, which is Dell, Microsoft Azure, and IBM through its acquisition of Red Hat. You have 4 different cloud companies being represented here and paradigms that UKCloud offers expertise and cross-cloud capabilities for.
Cool.
So, and looking at this, it says you can avoid lock-in to a single cloud and accelerate your digital transformation. Like seamlessly. That harmonizes so well with what Quant aims to do.
I was going to say, you can see some obvious synergies and parallels between what UKCloud is doing with the cloud, with cloud fragmentation, and what Quant's doing with blockchain fragmentation. Again, we can. This kind of just touches on that as well. UK Cloud partnership with Microsoft and Cisco pushes forward the multi-cloud for the public sector.
And notice Cisco.
Yes,
we'll touch on that later too.
We'll touch on that as well. This is kind of the same thing. Just recently, actually, yesterday, UK Cloud and VMware joined forces to meet public sector demand for remote desktops. I think UK Cloud is actually giving free rates to public organizations during the crisis at the moment. This is more about UK Cloud. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, they have different divisions. And so, which is a little bit different to AUCloud. AUCloud is just the one division. But the UK Cloud also services not just public sector. They have a big focus on public sector, but they also focus other private institutions and things like that. But as we mentioned, they have 3 different divisions. Their home division, UK Cloud, and then we'll touch on the other 2 in just a sec. We won't go through all of their product partners and stuff because a lot of them, you probably won't notice. But obviously, AUCloud. So the next division that we touch on, actually no, first we're going to talk about the Cisco we were talking about. Cisco actually invested £25 million into UK Cloud. I think it was who did they do it between? Yeah, that's it. Digital Alpha.
They did it through Digital Alpha. Yeah. So this is I think a big contributing factor to UK Cloud's recent valuation of a pseudo unicorn, which is something above $250 million, or in this case pounds. So Cisco is really putting their money where their mouth is, and this is a huge infrastructure company. Cisco's routers are used across the world, and they're funding UK Cloud's development and rollout of national critical infrastructure, and Quant's partnered with UK Cloud. So we've got a very, very motivating partnership right here.
Cool. So the next thing, the first side, what would you call it? Side division that they had is called UK Cloud
Branch?
X. Yeah, branch. That's it. And it's for they're going after the defense community. As we see here, the required data hosted in the cloud that is classified above official, otherwise considered secret or top secret data, with the launch of UK Cloud X. So they're basically doing kind of what the AU Cloud is doing, but in this case, it's this specific division is targeted exactly at the top secret and defense branch of the UK government.
And you see, they don't even want to mention secret or top secret. They're just saying it's above official. So it's you have to read between the lines sometimes when you're dealing with these high-level government entities, and this is kind of why we're covering UK and Cloud and AU Cloud.
Yeah, I think this kind of sums it up from CEO. Today we're here to launch UK Cloud X, an open, secure, collaborative UK sovereign cloud platform which is designed to store and process data classified as above official. So it seems to me.
Let's check out their partners. I mean, let's see who wants to deal with UK Cloud X.
Obviously,
AU Cloud.
Obviously AU Cloud.
Yeah, which is nice.
Also, this is
IBM, Capgemini, or Cisco, KPMG. Arc Data Centers. That's actually a low-key legacy player from Phil Dawson's previous career, I think.
Work with Capgemini, Deloitte, IBM.
I've seen Hive Logic before. I just
so have I.
Don't know what they do.
I wonder where I've seen that as well. Technology partners, obviously AU Cloud.
Bingo.
This is another partner actually that was about AU Cloud as well.
Let's look at that quote. Combining UK Cloud X is secure at the very bottom.
Oh yeah.
Cost-effective platform with IBM specialist skills and services in the defense and national security sector. We will provide real value to our clients. So that's
truth.
That's an endorsement right there. That's an endorsement right there.
the next division that they launched was a dedicated UKCloud health division. The company said that the new health business will provide an open, collaborative, and UK sovereign public cloud platform specifically for the healthcare industry, supporting health and care providers, research, life sciences, and pharmaceuticals. The business launched yesterday with already a community of 29 partners and 30 customers, including Genomics England and the Devon Partnership NHS Trust. The company, UKCloud, also hosts over 200 public sector clients and projects. If we move on here to UKCloud Health, it's kind of the same sort of thing. Again, a different branch, they have different customers and partners. Where was the one, I swear? Oh, actually, there's an interesting one. MDS Technologies. Where did we see that? That was Phil. Was it Phil Dawson?
That was Phil Dawson.
That was Phil Dawson.
Yeah.
Cool. UKCloud X also has some interesting connections to NHS, which is the National Health Service in the UK. They were selected by the NHS Shared Business Services to provide multi-cloud services for their solutions framework. Important to note here that there's something called NHS X and NHS Digital. They're working to bring the UK Health Department and digitizing it. Ghost, is that what we just say? Digitizing it. You had a great explanation before.
Yeah. So something that's very, as everyone who's watching this who lives in London knows, the NHS is very quilt-like. There's a ton of different systems, all working in different geographies with different patients, and they all kind of come together and say, oh, we're the NHS. But really, it's a multitude of things. And what we're seeing from the NHS X is actually not quite a centralization of autonomy, but a logistical centralization, and that they're trying to create common data standards between all these different hospitals and citizens being able to seamlessly transfer their records and history between one hospital to another securely, and within GDPR data rights, that even though the UK is not part of the EU anymore, a lot of their law is still based on those same established principles. So they'll probably inherit that same consumer data right privacy. So let's and this ties in directly into a entity that Quant is a part of called interopen, and this is just a organization that is trying to create a development of open standards for interoperability in the healthcare and social care sector. Well, that sounds fine and dandy right there.
Yeah.
That's some good stuff. Let's go into the about page next. And as we see in the interopen board of representatives, that we have a tech.uk rep, who I think Scott Wilkie was representing at one point.
Just have a quick check.
This is Bradley. This is Bradley, not Bradley.
It was Scott. No, I think it was Dawson again, actually. Yeah, it was Dawson.
Oh wow, dude, Dawson is he is pulling weight. He's such a badass. That's pretty cool. So we have a connection there, and then you see Andrew Meyer and Salen Barnett, two representatives of NHS Digital, and Ian Townsend and Gillian Pringle. It's NHS X. So there's a lot of other entities over here. The only one I really feel motivated to point out is the HL7 representatives, which is a way of representing patient data and records. So very, very interesting. Gilbert has talked about using FHIR, FHIR, and HL7 as the main means of promoting interoperability among hospitals. So that's a little bit of information about how Quant's involved with health and how they can overlap with UKCloud in this way.
Yeah, so if you didn't know, we are actually a member of Interopen. This is a pretty big...
along with Accenture, Amazon, like Capgemini,
It would take us
like just
go
like
forever
everything.
through here.
Yeah,
Um,
for real.
but I think
Just
uh,
Control F Quant.
yeah, I was just looking for a specific name. I know we're down here. I looked at it before.
Oh,
Yeah, there we
yeah,
are.
there we are.
Um, and I think this is just kind of like an interesting headline as well, kind of like a summary of what they're after, really. Interoperability accelerates development of NHS interoperability standards. So, I mean, it's pretty obvious to see where we could potentially fit in and help out in this situation. The reason we brought it up was because, there's a lot of crossover between Interoper Tech UK, NHS, NH Digital, UK Cloud X. Gilbert, for those of you who don't know, I also got a screenshot here. Gilbert, we are very connected with the NHS as I chair the government's health DLT committee which NHS England, NHS Digital are also a part of. So I'm fairly sure he's got his fingers in the pie in this instance. We've been talking for almost 40 minutes now. So
I mean, I can't even emphasize how important that is. There's a project recently that is used for coronavirus, like, oh no, sorry, not coronavirus, but digital IDs for doctors, and that's running on DLT. Any project like that is going to be run past Gilbert, and then potentially even connected to Overledger by doing so. He is the chair. I mean, that's the head. You hear everything that happens with regards to that committee, and so that's an extremely privileged position to be in, and Gilbert is dominating it. Like he is so involved in so many different places. I'm surprised he has any time for the common man, but he does, which is nice. But yeah, what is this, Luke?
So I thought we would kind of do like a nice little wrap up here. As we mentioned, Skyscape is what UK Cloud used to be called. And they were actually providing a blockchain as a service to the UK public sector in 2016. Also interesting to note, we're seeing a growing number of organizations across industries beginning to explore how blockchain tech can help to streamline or modernize operations, offer new compelling services, and are thrilled to bring blockchain as a service technology to the UK public sector in collaboration with UK Cloud or Skyscape. So UK Cloud have definitely been not only a big player in the UK public sector, but also had their finger on DLT and blockchain for a while. And just to wrap it up, I thought this would be a pretty cool little award. They also won the 2016 fastest growing private technology company in the UK, which is probably, no small feat. Is there anything you want to add, Ghost, before we do a little bit of a wrap up?
I think they also received another award in 2017. I forgot what it was for, though.
It might actually be here.
Let's see.
Awards.
Yeah.
Prestigious, the
Queen's Awards for Enterprise and Innovation. I mean, sponsored by the Queen. Enough said, right?
Also won the Service Excellence Award and awarded for G-Cloud Public Sector Provider of the Year for the second year consecutively, and also features one of the Future 50's fastest growing technology companies.
I mean, enough said. UK Cloud is an absolute monster with regards to G Cloud and national critical infrastructure for governments.
Cool.
So, yeah.
So, quick wrap up. These two have definitely gone under the radar. Mainly because, as mentioned, we haven't heard much about them, and that could be for good reason. I mean, I highly doubt Gilbert worked with AUCloud a year before the partnership, and then 18 months, 20 months later after the partnership, they haven't done anything. I'm sure they're working on some stuff, but this stuff is national critical infrastructure, and just to partner with them and be recognized as the technology is not only useful but secure for such high-end, really. We keep saying critical national infrastructure, but it's just the best way to describe it.
It really is.
This stuff isn't just like, a poker gambling website. Like, this shit matters. And so I think it's just a credit not only to Gilbert and his connections in the public sector, but also the quality of what they're offering. Perfect.
Well, as you can see by the length of this video, I think we're at what, 48 minutes?
Yeah, about that, 40 minutes or so. Yeah.
Yeah. So we, it kind of takes a little bit of digging to understand what these two entities, which really share the same root, what their nature is and what they can, what they imply, because their impact is bigger than what they state. And I think we're seeing the same thing with Quant, in the sense that a lot is happening behind the scenes, but don't lose faith. Stay Quamfy. It's all going to be good, and really we're going to have so much ahead of us that will just absolutely surprise people and astound them. Level at which Overledger is being integrated into, like again, like Luke and I keep saying, national critical infrastructures worldwide is so deep. People are going to be using Quant and Overledger without even realizing they are. And it's just going to facilitate the internet of trust that Gilbert wants to bring into the world. And so it's just incredibly motivating and promising.
Cool. Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I think that was a good wrap up. Thank you for watching. We know it was long, so again, always if the videos are a bit long, eat them in chunk sizes. 10 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, or binge watch all my episodes at once. I don't care. Really, just talk about things.
OD on Quant FA.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Just dig into these things. We find it fun. I hope you guys learned something. If you've got any questions or any suggestions for future vids, drop a comment and take it easy. Look after yourselves. See you later. Bye.
See ya.